Hey everyone, it's time to catch up on the Street Fighter V news that's been happening lately. So let's begin with Street Fighter V's current new Rage Quit system. In case you guys don't know how it works, after about, I'd say, 4 Rage Quits, you get a 2-hour online ban. And if you do Rage Quit, you get to keep your points and you keep your win streak just like before. And if someone Rage Quits on you, then you do not get any points at all, which sucks, basically. Ever since the new rage quitting system update, I still get, I'd say, the same amount of rage quits as usual. Usually it's when someone's really salty about losing or they get thrown too much, but I don't think it really stops anybody from rage quitting really hardcore, unless there's people that are really trying to grind their points and maintain points when they're really high rank, like Platinum. But if I made like a Smurf account, I notice a lot of rage quitting begins around, I'd say, the Silver League. Of course, many players are still not satisfied with the current rage quitting system, but Capcom has said that they are planning on updating it and improving it in the future. So this is not set in stone, and it's not something that's Capcom's gonna move on to the next issue kind of thing. The two biggest things that people want as punishment for a rage quitter is the person who disconnects to lose their points, and of course the person who wins still gains their points, and the person who disconnects doesn't keep their win streak, of course. So basically, if someone rage quits, it's basically them conceding the match, as if they did lose in the first place. And I think that's fair. And as simple as something like this sounds, maybe it's more complicated than we think. Maybe Capcom can't detect who's actually rage quitting or something. Honestly, it has to be something complicated like that, because it seems so obvious to how to deal with rage quitters, because it's, like I said, this is not just an issue in fighting games, it's an issue in a ton of different games. So, just keeping you guys updated with the rage quitting thing, because I know a lot of people get salty about it. So we finally got a report on how many copies of Street Fighter V has sold, and that is 1.4 million copies. Capcom's projection for Street Fighter V was to sell 2 million copies. To give you guys a perspective of this number, Street Fighter IV sold 3 million copies during its first month. Now, this is kind of an unfair comparison, because when Street Fighter IV came out, fighting games were kind of dead at that point, and it kind of revived the scene, right? So I guess it's kind of an unfair comparison. Capcom said they didn't hit the mark because they felt they didn't give Street Fighter V the attention it needed before launch. That's pretty much an understatement, man. I know we talked about this a lot before, but Street Fighter V was definitely rushed when it came out, and this is like not the first fighting game that was very rushed. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is another really good example. And yeah, the game launched and it had Skeletor as fuck content and major server issues at launch. So when you have a game with like no offline content and you can't connect online with it, that equals very, very salty reviews. So the fact that Street Fighter V sold 1.4 million copies was actually very surprising, and a better number than I assumed it would be. So I guess that means that the franchise is still very, very popular, but I think Capcom could have done way better if they delayed the game. At least wait for the story mode to be released. I remember Capcom saying that they rushed the game out because they wanted to get the Pro Tour scene out as soon as possible, but then Capcom could have just simply made the game open beta or something so the pro players could have played it and then not, give all the casual players the complete shaft. Capcom also said they underestimated the value of single player content in a fighting game. Usually people don't care about offline content or single player content in a fighting game, but when Street Fighter V released, a lot of people complained about it, so there are people that still care about, like, well, obviously everyone cares about story mode. I know Mortal Kombat really sets the bar when it comes to offline content, and they really show that there are a lot of cool stuff that you can put in a fighting game to keep people playing besides just playing ranked online. Capcom has said that they'll be giving more time to development than before and have made slight adjustments to their portfolio. So Capcom has acknowledged this, and they're kind of restructuring basically how they're making games and making sure the games are getting more polished before they're released. I feel like Capcom should have learned this lesson a long time ago, and well, all they could do is apologize and learn, right? So they either have to adapt or die. Keep in mind, guys, that the Zenny money system is still not available yet. So that is the Capcom's real money store, and since it's not released yet, Capcom is still waiting on that extra money they can make when that finally does get released with costumes and maybe even colors or whatever else content they're going to release, probably fight titles from real money and stuff. So I'm sure Capcom will gain a lot of revenue when that's finally released with Street Fighter V. In a kind of similar topic, Street Fighter V, Capcom will continue to add offline content to Street Fighter V. So this means that after the original DLC plan of the story mode and the 6 DLC characters, Capcom is still planning to work on Street Fighter V afterwards. So they confirmed that they're going to continue releasing characters after the already announced 6 DLC characters. So this is really good news. It means that the sales were good enough. They're not giving up on the game and abandoning it, for example, and we'll be still getting lots more content. I feel like Street Fighter V, probably like a year from now, once it finally gets like the offline content that it should have came out in the first point, and a lot of characters and improving the stages. Like the China stage is the only stage with like the interactable on the left and the right side. You get knocked to the bus, you get knocked to the restaurant. It seems like the other stages were made for that kind of content as well, and different weather effects and more stages. The classic Guile stage was really nice, and I think if they add either more V skills, more V triggers, more supers, and just make the system more robust, I feel like Street Fighter V is really one core mechanic behind from being like really, really good. And I think the game will be, like I said, a year from now. Personally, for them to add, like content-wise, I'd really like them to add an online training. That'd be really great. And online team battles. And I know not too many people care about team battles except me, but I think it would be awesome. For the stream, of course. Still, Capcom has also not released the challenge mode dailies for us to earn fight money, because eventually we're all going to run out of fight money if you guys haven't already done so. For the future DLC characters that are coming out. Ono has also quoted for us, "This is a marathon and not a sprint, and we appreciate all the words of support as we embark on this journey together." It brings a tear to my eye, man. So in other news, Street Fighter V has 8-frame input delay. Actually, we knew about this for a long time, like over 2 months ago. But now it's kind of like publicly gone out and got out, and now we're getting some crazy like excuses and stuff about the 8-frame input delay. So basically, Street Fighter V on the PlayStation 4 version has about 8-frame input delay. That means that when you press your button on your controller, it will take 8 frames before it registers in the game. So this is different than display lag, for example. Display lag is how long it takes for you to actually see something on the screen. So this input delay comes before display lag, it comes before online lag, for example, and it comes before actual controller lag as well, because different joysticks and stuff have different amounts of input delay as well. So I guess that's another thing that pad users have an advantage over joystick users. I don't know. But I heard the TE2 has actually got a really good input delay. Anyways, the PC version of Street Fighter V, if you edit the VSync in the config file, that's not in the game, you gotta do it separately. It has about 4 frames of input delay, so it's twice as good as the PS4, I guess. But all major tournaments use the PlayStation 4 version of Street Fighter V. But I noticed myself that if I do, like, I was doing some videos on Street Fighter V on the PC version, I noticed it seems better. Like, you can notice that 4-frame difference. It's really funny. It seems more reactive. Keep in mind also that the 360 version of Ultra Street Fighter 4 had 5 frames of input delay, to give you guys kind of a perspective between the two. So there was always input delay. It's just in Street Fighter V, it's getting crazy, right? Basically, how this affects the game, like 8 frames doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is. It doesn't affect combos, because we got like the input buffering system where combos are really easy to do in Street Fighter V. So it doesn't affect combos, but what it does affect is reacting to things is a little harder. For example, anti-airs, it's much harder to react to shimmies or dashes, which go hand in hand, of course. And like characters that would really like abuse this, for example, would be like Ken, for example. Canceling normals into his V skill would be a little harder to react to. Like, you know those times where Ken would, cancel a crouching medium punch into his V skill, and then you swear you press crouch and light punch in time, but then he counter hits you. that'd be like an example of that A-frame input delay. It's just hard to react to things, even when you anticipate it. Nash would be a big offender because of his dash is so crazy, which I'll tell you guys in a bit here. Bison, for example, with his dash, it's really hard. You know, like when you play against Bison online, he'll just always dash towards you and throw you, and you swear you reacted to it, but you didn't. The way I feel about this A-frame input delay is I don't feel like it destroys the game. Like, there's always input delay, but I feel like the game could be better. I definitely want like the pro players to play at their best, and I don't think it's good enough to use an excuse for anyone to say they could be doing way better without it. But I do want these players to play like at the highest level they can, right? Players anti-airing things that they should be, and reacting to things, and people are not getting away with murder with you know, different tactics that abuse this A-frame input delay. I don't think Capcom's gonna fix this anytime soon, to be honest with you guys. Probably not for a while. They got a huge list of things they need to catch up on, and this is like the least of their worries kind of thing. But it's pretty known news now, man, and a lot of people are talking about it. There's a lot of controversy on it, so let me know what you guys think about this 8-frame input delay, and do you guys think it affects your game, or you think it's not even worth mentioning? It's pretty funny. It's pretty much going to be the greatest option select excuse of all time, is the A-frame input delay. I know I say it all the time during my streams, so it's pretty funny. Finally, in news, and I think this is worth having its own article, is Nash's dash does not animate forward until until the 8th frame. This is really funny to me. All this time, like, Nash's dash has always been really crazy to me, because, you know, I play Killy all the time, and I swear I tech that, or I swear I react to that and get shimmied out so hard. And it's just really funny that, like, recently I saw this post by Grand Wolf, and that Nash's dash is actually, it's 17 frames, okay? But the beginning 8 frames of it is Nash just like moves his head down, but he doesn't actually move forward. So it's when you physically see it, he doesn't actually start dashing forward until the 8th frame, which means Nash's dash is basically 9 frames, making it really hard to react to if you have a 9-frame dash with an 8-frame input delay. I don't know. It just makes his dash so crazy. Also, to give you guys a perspective of this, Ken and like Vega have like the fastest dashes in the game at 15 frames, and Nash's dash is 9. So that's all I'm saying. I think it's pretty funny. If you guys want to see the actual animation yourself, there's a link in the video description below, so make sure you guys check that out. So there's a ton of laughs on that. So that's basically it for Street Fighter V news. Some of that just, you know, joking around a bit. But let me know what you guys think about this, the rage quitting system, Capcom sales, what they can do to improve Street Fighter V. Do you think like Street Fighter V is like they can't sell anymore? Like, are all the hardcore players the only ones that are actually playing this now? Do you think this story mode that's releasing in June is gonna really help the game and boost its sales? Like, it's gonna boost it just a little bit, but I think that like when it comes to games like this, you pretty much like only got one chance, you know. But with Capcom continuing to update Street Fighter V even from a year from now, and you know the esports scene is getting a lot of like recognition and stuff, you know, Street Fighter V should have a good chance, and hopefully they'll add more mechanics to the game and, you know, keep things fresh, right? Because Street Fighter 4 lasted so long, so I'd really love Street Fighter 5 to also last really long as well. Hopefully we can get some news updates too on who the next character is, which is like 90% being Balrog, right? But it'd be nice for Capcom to give some type of update soon, because we're halfway through the month again. So I think we'll be getting our character at the very tail end of the month, just like Alex and Guile. And hopefully we get a new stage. That'd be pretty sweet too. And then of course we'll get more updates with the story mode that's supposed to come out next month. And then we're not getting a character next month, but we'll be getting a character the month after the story update. So that's it pretty much for the news, guys. Take care. Peace.